Reserve Bank of India came out with a draft scheme for the reconstruction of the bank. The objections were sought from the relevant people, and on 13th, the Government of India came out with the final notification for the reconstruction of the bank. This reconstruction scheme was basically about constitution of a board by the order of Government of India, equity participation by State Bank of India to the extent of 49%, up to 49%. And actually there was an equity infusion of 10,000 crores. Major share of more than 6,000 crore was by State Bank of India. But at the same time, the 7 private sector lenders, they also participated in the remaining equity infusion. After the equity infusion and the Government of India notification, the very next day on 14th of March, Yes Bank declared the December quarter results, which were earlier delayed. And if you see the results which were declared, the entire stress book has been taken into account. The provisioning was increased from 42% to 72%. The recognition of asset, even up to 12th of March, whatever accounts were slipped, they were recognized as NPAs and the provisions were made. Announcement was also made to lift the moratorium at 6 p.m. on 18th. The draft scheme was speaking about moratorium to be lifted by an outer date of 3rd of April. But much before the outer date, a decision was taken to lift the moratorium on 18th itself. So fundamentally, if you see within 13 days, the entire scheme was implemented and a moratorium is getting lifted. Apart from the equity infusion by State Bank of India and 7 other private sector lenders, our teams in Yes Bank started communicating with the customers, giving the comfort about the safety of their deposits, and also extending the services within the stipulations of the moratorium terms. On the very first day, all our ATMs were made available to the customers. Within 48 hours, the ATMs of all other banks were also made available to our customers. The entire inflow of NEFT, RTGS and IMPS services were made available. And staff at Yes Bank handled the situation so well that on the very first day there were long queues outside the bank branches, but subsequently there was no queue. Customers were handled very well. There was not a single untoward incident. In fact, we start getting the response and the feedback from the customers that they are very happy with the services extended. They understand the pain points, and we really appreciate the cooperation extended by our customers and the understanding which they have given. Yesterday, a press conference was held by Reserve Bank of India, and Governor very categorically stated that absolutely there is no need for any depositor of a private sector bank regarding the safety of their deposits. There is no need to withdraw a deposit from any of the private sector banks. And if we see in the past, never in the history any customer of a scheduled commercial bank has lost their deposits. So this assurance coming from the Governor, Reserve Bank of India, this is very, very positive thing. And at the same time, I think this happened for the first time, that 8 banks came together in supporting a cause, okay, which is not related to a particular bank, which is something which is affecting the entire banking industry. And if this situation has not been handled the way it has been done, it could have been a contagion impact on the entire financial system within the country. But I think with the support from the Government of India, and the Reserve Bank of India, and all the banks together, it's a history like such a incident has been taken care within 13 days. Not only coming out with a reconstruction plan, but also implementation. And we are very happy to announce that 6 p.m. tomorrow, the moratorium would be lifted, and all our customers would be able to enjoy the entire banking services which they used to enjoy before the moratorium was imposed. We have made adequate precautions. All our ATMs, they are full with cash. All our branches have the adequate supply of the cash. So from Yes Bank side, there is absolutely no issue on the liquidity side. And I think it has been made very clear that there would not be any need to depend on any external requirement for the liquidity. But if that is the case, then those liquidity lines are adequately available to bank. At the same time, we would also like to make a request to all our customers. There is absolutely no need to worry about the safety of your deposits. There is no need to withdraw. The way you were doing transactions earlier, you can continue to do those transactions. And Yes Bank has emerged as a much stronger bank with the equity support coming from the 8 large lenders of the country, and with the full support and very quick action taken by the Government of India and the Reserve Bank of India. We are very happy to have this press conference talking to you, and at the same time also having the presence of our biggest investor, Chairman, State Bank of India, and we also have Mr. Khajuria, who represent Federal Bank. So this is what we thought we should share with you, that complete normalcy would be restored from 6 p.m. tomorrow. All our branches, all our employees, they are ready. They are meeting the customers like the teams at the ground. They are meeting customers like every relationship manager is meeting almost 125, 150 customers individually, giving them assurance. And we are hopeful that from 6 p.m. tomorrow, we would be doing the normal business transactions, and our customers would be having the same experience, and I would be saying a much better experience what they used to have before. So thank you very much for your presence, and we would be very happy to take any of your questions.
Just a second. Thank you, sir. Before we open the floor to questions, I had a couple of requests to make. Request you to please strictly adhere to one question per media. Also, if you could identify yourself and the publication you represent before asking the questions. Everyone will get an opportunity to ask questions. So if you could just raise your hand, my colleagues here will help you with the mic. So we'll start from this side.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry, you can't, sir. She said we're sorry, please.
That side.
So, this is Vishwanath from Bloomberg. I just wanted to get some sense of where the cash position at Yes Bank is at this point in time. You said that there is an external line available to you if you need it. Firstly, is it from SBI or also from the RBI? Secondly, if you are talking about cash outflows, I mean, how are you ensuring, apart from talking to customers, how are you ensuring that the money does not actually flow out tomorrow 6 p.m. onward? And what was saved before the stress situation started? What was the cash outflow like, and what are you expecting going ahead?
No, so basically we have made all our calculation. We did our, say, extensive analytics about the customer behavior, And what we have seen that only 1/3 of our customers who could have withdrawn the funds during the moratorium period has withdrawn to the extent of 50,000 rupees. So that itself is a huge comfort. And our feedback which we are getting from the ground, not only from our staff but from the customer also, they say that absolutely they don't have any apprehension, they don't feel any need to shift or withdraw money more than what they required in their normal course of business from the bank. So that itself is a huge comfort. And if I give you a data, last 4 days, we were having higher inflows than the outflows. So I think that gives us a huge comfort.
Probably because outflows are limited.
Not like this, because I am saying only 1/3 of the customers have withdrawn to the extent of 50,000. So it means 2/3 of the customers have not exercised that option.
So 50,000 is between 5th and now, that is moratorium?
Yeah.
Sir, could you tell us the total quantum of deposits that have been withdrawn between the moratorium and now? And also, sir, State Bank of India, you initially said you're looking at an investment of 7,250 crore rupees. That has been scaled down to an extent to 6,050 crores. What was the reason for that? And what is the second round of fundraising and when will that happen?
So the first question I will answer about 6,050 crore. You know that there is a boundary for us, for our investment. 26% locked in for 3 years, capped at 49%. So we applied for 7,250 crore, but the shares allotted to us are 605 crore share worth 6,050 crore to adhere to the requirement of within that 49%. No, I was not looking to raise his looking to raise. Let me be very clear. I am the fund provider. I am not raising the fund. So Yes Bank is raising the fund.
Is that why that had to be adjusted to bring down SBI's position to 49?
No, there was money available. Let me tell you. In any case, enough money was available. But consciously, there is a decision that in the first stage, let it be amongst the banks, Indian domestic banks. Second thing is that within the short time frame, lot of international investors, they had interest. That would have meant that you keep the bank under moratorium for a longer period of time, considering that we are in March and there are many SMEs. Yes Bank is very strong in SMEs, I am told. There are many pending payments, and that's why it was decided that we lift the moratorium as soon as possible and normalize. And instead of raising the entire capital, I'm answering on your behalf, sir. Okay. So, instead of raising entire capital in one go, it can be a two-stage process. And this raising of 10,000 crore, it ensures that bank is meeting all their capital adequacy ratios. They have time now to do the second raise, which he can elaborate.
So one scheme-related question.
One question.
One scheme-related question. The private bank. You've asked
One question per media, please. We'll address that after everybody is
One by
finished
one. You
asking
can come back
questions.
with it. I think Prashant will answer all questions.
Absolutely.
So based on the scheme, retail shareholder locked in to the extent of 75% for 3 years. That's the same for the private banks which are also investing, right?
Yeah.
So now private banks, let's take ICICI for example, they've invested 1,000 crores. Today at a price of 58 rupees, that stake is already going to be worth 5,800 crores. Now when will these shares get allotted to the banks?
So shares would be allotted in a day or two.
So let's say when those shares get allotted, the total share capital goes to 1,295 and then they can still sell 25% of that holding because only 75 is locked in. Now even if ICICI, for example, gets to sell 25% of its holding, that is in excess of the 1,000 crore which it put in. And legally it's allowed to take that out. So basically you're saying that in a 2-week time frame, they've been granted the license to make a trade, not only take out their invested capital if they want to, but also some profit, and then they're still within your framework. So is that ethical and fair?
Let me answer. So one is that when this investment was being considered, so everybody was saying it is a bailout. We should not throw away good money after bad money. Now if the share price has reached 60 rupees, then also you have a problem that why it is so. So what should have been done? I can ask you. So I think one, we have to understand that whether it is ICICI Bank or SBI, even SBI, I'm not talking about ICICI, let them decide what they will do. I am also free to sell shares because my compulsion is 26%. But let me assure you, for 3 years, not even a single share will be sold. But that categorical statement, I cannot give on behalf of other banks, but any bank who has invested, everybody is looking at in 3 years' time, we would expect a decent IR. But none of the banks, and that is precisely the reason that this allocation has been kept for the domestic banks, and to avoid any such, I would say, what should the word I use? Allegation? Controversy. But whatever. So that is also, I would say that is the thinking that one, it should not be seen that anybody is being allowed to do profiteering. And third thing is that let us wait how the price turns out to be. Today's price, we should not read too much because the existing shareholder also there is.
So what is the position with regard to the 81 bonds?
One by one.
Mayur, you had a question?
Yes.
So why the lockdown and 75% investment on flooding?
So why should, again, I should ask you that a bank which had difficulty, I am not against retail shareholders, please, that I must give a caveat. We all are here to protect shareholders' interest, minority shareholders' interest. But in the scheme, the only logic which could be is that everybody should be treated at par on the day of start of the scheme. When the bank is under PONB section 45 of RBI Act, so that also means that the equity lost. So equity is not lost, but there is a point that why doesn't everybody start at par? That is, I think, the only logic which I can understand.
So what is the position with regard to the 81 bonds? There was some discussion earlier about converting part of it to equity. So is it completely written down, or is there going to be some?
No, I think we have already made a exchange filing that 81 is completely written down, and we would not like to make any further comment because the matter is sub judice. I can only share that whatever has been done is in accordance with the contract between the 81 bondholders and bank, and also as per the RBI and Basel guidelines.
One more, I'm Yadav from CBC Awas. I just wanted to know one thing. Since the moratorium will be taken off tomorrow at 6 p.m., the administrator will turn into the MD and the new MD and CEO. Has there any decision been made regarding the appointment of the chairman yet? Number one, has there any, because it needs RBI approval, you need to suggest some names. That is question number one. And two, since the RBI moratorium will go and administrator right, if I may put it so, will go, then any further investment which comes into Yes Bank will happen as per SEBI formula, right? Because the 10 rupee scheme or the RBI window disappears.
So I think you have not seen the notification issued by Government of India. Notification clearly says that what is the constitution of the board. That is one thing. Second thing, the office of administrator would be vacated 7 days from the date when the moratorium is lifted. So it would be 7 days from tomorrow onwards, and the composition of board has already been notified by the Government of India.
Sir, hi, Nupur here from Reuters.
Further investment that will happen as per SEBI.
As per this.
So just want to understand that in the Q3 numbers of Yes Bank, we've seen a sharp spike in NPAs compared to what was there in Q2. Were there underreporting of bad loans that you found out, and that has also led to this sharp rise?
I think that part we need to examine whether there was a underreporting earlier. But what was the exact level of NPAs as on date at the time of declaration of result? All those things have been recognized and have been classified as NP.
Hi, sir. This is Surbhi from the Hindu Business Line. So the Q3 results auditors notes had spoken about, possible trigger of PCA norms. So with the capital infusion, are you comfortable on that?
Yeah. So I think if you say the PCA norms speak about the regulatory capital requirement and about the net NPAs. And PCA norms talk about the minimum 6% net NPA. We are 5.97. And if we take into account the capital raise of 10,000 crores and written down value of 81, and then we are above the regulatory capital requirement.
So coming to the disclosure on the NPA, earlier quarters used to have a detailed exposure sector-wise and the limits-wise. This time you have only left at gross NPAs, how much and other. When you have sent such a ballooning of it, could you be able to give some additional information as to what sectors and which kind of NPAs turn?
So that was just to encourage all of you to ask some pointed questions on this so that we can answer.
So Suvashri from Bloomberg.
So those things we will share with the analyst. No, we can share with you. But like in the press conference, we don't keep all those specific things available. Broader issues. We can share with you.
Discuss the broader issues and then bank specific NPA, gross NPA.
Suvashri
Clarification is required. This is all numerical. They will get.
Suvashri from Bloomberg, sir. I just wanted two things to understand. One is somebody asked about the future, second round of capital infusion. And second question is about the deposits. You mentioned in the note that deposits is the single most attention for you to. So what is the plan to raise those deposits and what are the targets for that? Thank you.
So like initially, if you see, first I would say respond on the deposit side. That is the biggest concern for us, okay? And we need to build up a granular deposit franchise. And we need to move away from the dependence on the bulk deposits. And it will take time, but definitely all our teams at the ground, they are ready for this. They have been given targets. They are preparing themselves. They are meeting customers. And going forward, this would be the most important agenda for the bank to build up a granular retail deposit franchise.
What are the targets? If you have some numbers in your mind.
So the target, I think this is still March, and we do our budgeting exercise for the next financial year, and maybe in next 7-10 days, we will be finalizing the budgeting for the next financial year. So capital infusion, let's see, because now the SEBI rules would apply. We need to see what would be the mode. There are different modes of raising capital. What would be the ideal mode? But we would like to see that we raise adequate capital before the declaration of our annual results.
So, Ankur Mishra from Financial Express. You mentioned about the fact that 1/3 of the people have not withdrawn 50,000 rupees. But what is the contingency plan if this doesn't work out? Have you sounded out some banks? And also, if even the loan side in your Q3 results, the numbers were not good. Similarly, the deposits came down to 1,37,000. So what I want to understand, what is the contingency plan? You have your own analysis of why people should not withdraw, but what is the plan B?
No, issue is like I have told you that we have reasons why the customers would not withdraw. But apart from this, in case of any eventuality, we are having the funding lines made available to us. But I think it is not proper to give the details of those funding lines. But we can always assure everybody that we have sufficient funding lines to meet any eventuality.
What is the headroom you have to in terms of your credit rating?
I think you should rely on what Honorable Governor yesterday said, right? Coming from Governor and such a categorical statement, that is a sufficient comfort. And let me give you a comfort if I am sitting besides him. So we will not allow any situation to develop and there is a problem. So I am present here only to give that assurance, let me tell you.
Sir, Brajesh from Z Business, this side. Sir, this side. सर जो ड्राफ्ट प्लान आया था उसमें 81 को राइट ऑफ करने की बात थी, फिर नोटिफिकेशन आया उसमें कुछ नहीं था, तो ये क्या आफ्टर थॉट था कि बैंक ने डिसाइड किया कि हमको राइट ऑफ करना है? पहला सवाल। दूसरा सवाल जो है वो कस्टमर्स के लिए है कि अगर ज़्यादा रश होता है ब्रांचेस में सपोज, तो क्या आप वीकेंड पे ब्रांचेस को ओपन करेंगे? 2 सवाल।
देखिए, पहले सवाल का जवाब मैं फिर से एक बार ये रिपीट करना चाहूँगा कि ये जो मैटर है ये ऑनरेबल मुंबई हाई कोर्ट में पेंडिंग है, तो इस बार सब जुडिस है, तो इसके बारे में मैं कोई और चीज़ नहीं कहूँगा। फिर दोबारा ये रिपीट करूँगा कि जो हमारा टर्म्स ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट था उसके अकॉर्डेंस में और बेसल 3 के जो नॉर्म्स और आरबीआई के नॉर्म्स है उसके अकॉर्डिंग ये डिसीजन लिया गया है। जहाँ तक आपकी बात है कि अगर कस्टमर का बहुत रश होगा तो क्या ब्रांचेस को खोला जाएगा? येस बैंक टेक्नोलॉजिकली इसकी टेक्नोलॉजी बहुत अच्छी है। टेक्नोलॉजी के जो हमारे पास चैनल्स अवेलेबल हैं, पहले भी ज़्यादातर हमारे जो कस्टमर हैं वो ब्रांच चैनल के बाहर अपनी बैंकिंग करते हैं, तो इस तरह की कोई ज़रूरत आएगी नहीं, पर अगर ऐसा कुछ आएगा तो हम उसके बारे में डिसीजन लेंगे।
So Gopika from Mint.
Manojit here from the Hindu. I wanted to ask, what is the threshold level of trigger of deposit withdrawal below which you have to put the moratorium once again? That is number one.
No.
एक बार मोरेटोरियम हो गया, रोज मोरेटोरियम लगता है क्या?
No, there must be threshold level.
कोई थ्रेशोल्ड नहीं होता है इसका, मोरेटोरियम का कोई थ्रेशोल्ड नहीं होता है, कैपिटल का होता है।
हाँ।
कैपिटल के सारे नॉर्म्स वो मीट कर रहे हैं यस बैंक एज ऑन द डेट ऑफ रिकंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द स्कीम। भाई जो मोरेटोरियम लगता है वो कब लगता है? जबकि उसका नेट एनपीए आपने देख लिया, ग्रॉस एनपीए देख लिया आपने, उसकी कैपेबिलिटी टू सर्विस देख लिया। रोज मोरेटोरियम नहीं लगा कर। लेट अस टॉक टुडे सम पॉजिटिव थिंग्स, नॉट गुड।
And the second question is that due to the moratorium, depositors' confidence to some extent eroded. Even you survive the initial bout of deposit withdrawal. What is the plan to make customers comfortable to come again and put deposit? Is there a change to? There is a lot of talks among the officers of Yes Bank to change the branding. Is there also a thought?
No, immediately there is no such plan. I think brand is very, very strong. The employees, they are doing a very good job. There is absolutely no need. I would also like to make request to everybody who is present in this room. Please see what has happened. Have you seen reconstruction of such a large entity within 13 days with a combined effort from the Government of India, Reserve Bank of India and entire banking industry? I think the people who are sitting in this room, they also have this responsibility and convey a very positive message across the country that this is the time where if everybody collaborate, then what is the outcome? I think this is the example which has been set by the banking industry for everybody. So I think our responsibility becomes that we spread positive news and we encourage all our depositors to stay with their respective banks.